the sea. Belongs to you, belongs to me. And in and out into the sun will shine. Putting out the fires, bring out the wine. I know that all the locals getting down, 'cause it's not too late.
Shack are a Britpop band from Liverpool, and they've got a slightly unusual history, which makes my job more interesting. So a couple of members who were brothers whose surname was Head, the Head brothers, started their musical life in a band called the Pale Fountains. I've heard of them, but I don't know anything about them. But Pale Fountains ceased to be. In about 1987, they formed Shack. And apart from the Head brothers, there's been some turnover in members. Their first album didn't do very well. It didn't sell well. The critics didn't like it particularly. Their second album is the one that is interesting because it was beset with disaster. So shortly after recording the album, the studio that it was recorded in burnt down, which burnt down almost all copies of the album, except there was one remaining copy, which was a mastered DAT tape. And this was in the possession of the producer, who was in LA at the time. And when he got back to the UK, it transpired that he had accidentally left this DAT tape in his hire car. So it took a few weeks to find it. And by the time it was found, the publishers had gone bust. So it didn't get released. So time went on, and Shack disbanded, and the Head brothers formed another band called Michael Head and the Strands. But then they managed to get their album, which was called Water Pistol, released by a German indie label. And it got critical acclaim, and people liked it. So at that point, the whole concept of Shack was resurrected. So the Heads reformed Shack. They've done 3 more albums since then. Now, apparently, according to Wikipedia, they're still in existence. However, only a couple of months before I'm recording this, it says that Mick Head has started being the leader of a band called Michael Head and the Red Elastic Band. So I guess there's a question mark over whether Shack actually exists anymore. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was Shack's 3rd album, which makes it the first one after they reformed after their ill-fated 2nd album finally got released. So, as normal, I'm going to do some description. At times, it reminds me of other Britpop. I think categorising it as Britpop is really helpful. It's kind of medium rock. There is quite a lot of use of orchestral strings in the background, which mostly I like. Sometimes I think it's a bit overdone. And the two of them, the Head brothers, sing nicely in harmony. And so it has a feel like it reminds me of, at times, of R.E.M. It reminds me at times, especially with the vocal harmonies, of Crowded House, particularly. And it reminded me quite a lot, some of the songs of Blur. Now, I need to kind of explain that. So the Blur album that I possess and have listened to quite a lot is Parklife. And there's the big kind of poppy numbers like Parklife on that, and a couple of others. But most of the rest of the album is kind of interesting poppy songs, quite a variety to them. And a lot of the sounds that they used, I felt, were similar to the sounds that Shack used on this. So some of the songs as well are leading in a more of a folk direction. So there's a track called Captain's Table and a track called Streets of Kenny. Captain's Table is also kind of, the vocals are done in more kind of a dream pop kind of way, so kind of ethereal and big reverb on them. I think musically I quite enjoyed it. I actually like this album quite a bit. There is a small problem with it, though. I think it's not quite sure what its identity is. It doesn't know where to sit. It feels a bit like a toddler who's come into a room that they've never been in before. They need to try all the chairs in the room. And so this is good because it gives it variety, but so I have this theory that albums need to have a certain amount of consistency so they feel like a whole album, but enough variety that they don't just feel like the same idea over and over again. And it's a difficult line to go down. So I feel like this is possibly going a little bit too much in the variety line to make this feel like a coherent album. However, there is a bit of an identity that runs through everything, which is the vocals. Not only they got nice harmonies, but they're done with a reasonably strong Scouse accent, particularly for the word "the" or anything beginning with the Scouse rendition of that is "de." Okay, and that is kind of throughout, and so you can definitely tell they're from Liverpool. The songwriting's pretty good. There's a variety of subject matters. I think I quite liked Lonesome Doe is probably one of my favourites. There's some unusual lyrical rhythms too, which is nice. In general, I think that I'm a bit surprised they haven't been more successful because I enjoyed it. I thought that they were maybe not quite on a par with Oasis and Blur and others like that, but actually not far underneath. And I'd not really come across them before I reviewed this album for my blog a couple of years ago. So I quite like it. Do you know this album? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it from me for now.
Lend some dough. I've gotta get out of the kitchen. I've been up all night. I've got a sore back and I'm itching. Lend some dough. Lend some dough. Rain me fall. So what are you gonna do tonight? Where are you gonna be tonight?